let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Lorna and this is my art studio. I'm starting this channel to connect with other artists and potters and just makers who like to learn new things and get creative and just have fun. So the things that I like to do are mainly painting, pottery. I also like to make kind of random things like soap, candles. I make jewelry. I do electroforming. So I really like crystals and things like that. And so I learned how to electroform them so I can make rings and necklaces. And I also make them out of clay too. I make little pendants and just anything I can think of. So and I just thought it'd be nice to share that and maybe inspire other people to do the same thing and kind of build a community of people who enjoy art in all its forms. So today I'm going to start painting this raven that I sketched out. I first put this gesso onto watercolor paper and taped it off so I'd have a border and sketched it out. And now I'm going to record it on this side and try to put it up here someplace. There we go. So I've basically been painting and drawing and sketching most of my life, but I've always been really interested in learning new things, and it's really hard for me to just stick with one thing and do that all the time. So in my 20s, I wasn't really interested in pottery too much like in high school, but in my 20s I went with a friend to a class, and we took a few classes and like just community classes, and we had so much fun, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And I didn't do art for quite a while, like in my 30s, because I had kids and it was just difficult. I had a photography business back then too, like in my 20s, early 30s, and so that kept me busy. But I've always come back to painting and drawing, and I've always loved that, and I've always taken classes and tried to learn as much as I could. But I'm just kind of one of those people who I wouldn't call myself like a master at really very many things, but I do know a little bit about a lot of things. So I thought I could share whatever knowledge that I've come across and maybe learn more in just the doing of making of art and from other people. kind of a homebody, so I don't really take classes or go out much anymore. I have 3 kids and it's kind of hard to do that sometimes. But I thought maybe I could learn something from doing art online and getting feedback from other people. I've already learned so much from watching. I often, when I'm creating something in my studio, I put on YouTube and watch other artists or potters or illustrators, and I'm always really inspired by that, and it just kind of makes you feel like you have somebody else in the room with you. But I thought that it would be even more fun to create kind of my own community. I mean, you may not be into pottery necessarily or like everything that I do, but you know, hopefully you're as curious as I am and like to learn new things, and maybe give a few things a try, and if not, then just, you know, get to the good stuff and find things that you kind of connect with more. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just kind of doing a background for this raven first. Sometimes I do it differently, but just kind of felt like wanting to get the background down first, just because I felt it. But the colors I'm using are, let's see, Naples Yellow, and I'm using Artist Loft paint, just, you know, nothing too fancy. And then Yellow Ochre, light pink, and I'm kind of using that in the middle. It's kind of a backlight. Cerulean Blue, Turquoise, Phthalo Green, and then later for the raven I'll probably use some of this metallic black. I'm also using Winsor Newton white. I have a few big big tubes of these that I feel like I use often, like white. I always use white. And then I kind of love gold too, just for a little sparkle in certain areas. But this is just Liquitex Basics Acrylic in gold. So just kind of laying it out right now around the sketch that I did earlier. I normally kind of do an underpainting, but I don't know, I just, for whatever reason, just decided not to with this one and just kind of go straight into it. I'll probably do something different too, like adjust the colors later. I'm just kind of laying down paint right now, and then change things up later as I see fit. So I am curious how many people out there are like me and can't just stick to one thing. I feel like everyone says that you're just supposed to like try to get really good at one thing, and I actually kind of tried that. I was thinking that I wanted to be a production potter and just focus on pottery because I just really love pottery. And there's so much to learn and so much to do within pottery. But I always kind of come back to like painting though, so and I feel like just, you know, there are no rules, and if I want to paint, then I'm just gonna paint. So and I just can't really do the same thing enough to really see myself being a production potter. So here we are. I also noticed I follow some YouTubers that are illustrators, and some of them have gotten into pottery lately, which I think is really cool. And when I noticed that, I was kind of like, other people like me, you know, who like to do that both. So that kind of inspired me to think, well, maybe there are more people out there who wouldn't be completely bored with watching somebody do multiple types of art. So So if you're watching this and you're like me and you can't just stick with one art form, that you like to dabble in a few different things, comment down below and tell me what types of things you're interested in. Hello, this is VoiceOver Lorna. I'm just going to be talking about my painting and what I'm doing. Right now I'm just kind of laying down color, and I'm not entirely sure at this point, I think, what I want the background to look like. I'm just kind of feeling it out, and I have a general idea that I want some sort of light source behind it. But I think at this point I'm understanding that I want a little bit of a moody feel to the raven painting. I start going darker, bringing in some teal, and covering up the orange circle in the background that kind of looks like a sun. I think at this point I'm determining that I want it to be more of a nighttime shot, like something that looks like it's like just about ready to be night, where maybe the city lights are in the background, creating kind of a nice little ambiance and mood for the painting. And then that was kind of like more of the I guess the hardest part. That's why I think I wanted to do it first, was just to kind of get that out of the way, to kind of figure out where I was going with the painting, because after that it's mainly just trying to get the details right of the raven. So I'm going around kind of giving the essence of like kind of a blurry lights in the background, and using a flat brush there, just because I wanted it to look a little bit more, like, not very realistic, just kind of have a little bit of texture to it, and look like there's something blurry in the background, but we can't really tell exactly what it is. And now I'm just blending it out a little bit. So I'm kind of done with the background, and now I am just painting on the details of the raven. I decided to go little by little and do the details as I go, instead of just laying down paint and doing a general overview, because I sketched this raven first. So if I would have put down all black paint and then put on in the details, I really wouldn't have seen where to put the eyes and where I wanted everything to go. So I just kind of take it small bit by small bit, and I try to use my paintbrush to reflect the texture of the bird. So with the beak, I use long strokes and some highlights to show that the beak is a smoother surface. And then I go into the smaller feathers around the face, and I try to use my brush strokes and a very small brush to make it look like feathers, and use the different strokes to show like the small face feathers versus the longer feathers that are in the breast of the bird. And here I'm going into the eyes, and I'm just kind of putting a little highlight there to show where this light source is coming from. And again, just kind of being a little splotchy with some of the strokes around the neck area to show the smaller feathers. And the paint that I'm using here is kind of a different paint. I've actually never used it before, and I was really excited to use it in this painting because it's a metallic black, so it almost feels like you can't tell by the painting or by the video, but it's almost feels like a glitter within the paint that shimmers in the light. So the original painting that I did, I mean, you can, if I tried printing it out afterwards, and it doesn't really quite have the same effect as the original, which is kind of a bummer. Maybe I can try different types of paper or printers or something and see if I can get close. But the original looks really cool because in the light you can see the shimmeriness, and it just looks like, you know how raven's feathers are like black, but then there's kind of a little iridescence to it. I'm trying to pick that up here with both the paint and just some of the highlights that I put in to show some depth, because if I would have just painted it straight black, it wouldn't have really looked as interesting or like feathers, and I feel like the highlights that I put in, it really shows like the length of the feathers and where the sun's coming from and everything. So now here I'm trying to get into laying down the base for the feet and showing texture. Since this bird is basically all black, it's really important to show, you know, the difference between the texture of the beak versus the texture of the feet and the feathers, and the different types of feathers. So I'm just really trying to make an effort here to show some contrasting textures, and I even add kind of a little blue up here at the very peak of the wing to show like a little bit of iridescence. And I kind of skip through the rest of it, I think. Now I'm doing the very satisfying removal of the tape, and that's the finished piece. Thank you for watching.